Backstage chaos. Dylan Wang accused of dragging Shen Yue away. Miles Wei chases him down the hall. The studio corridor was supposed to be quiet at that hour. Only a few assistants packing equipment, a couple of lighting technicians signing off their shifts. But tonight the air throbbed with something rigid, electric, and terrifying. Production members later said they heard it before they saw it. A gasp. A scuffle. Shen Yue's voice, thin, helpless, echoing down the concrete hallway. Then everything exploded. "Dylan, stop." Miles Wei's voice shattered through the building like a dropped mirror, slicing through walls, conversations, and whatever fragile piece remained between the two men. Because moments before that scream, someone had caught it on camera. Dylan Wang gripping Shen Yue's wrist, pulling her down the backstage hallway. Not in a gentle, come here way, but in a heated, frantic, almost desperate way, as if something was chasing them, or as if he was dragging her away from something she wasn't supposed to see. Or worse, dragging her towards something no one else was supposed to know. The footage spread through the crew like wildfire. Assistants froze mid-step. Makeup artists dropped brushes. Security guards leaned forward in their monitors, trying to zoom in on Dylan's expression. Was it anger? Panic? Fear? Recklessness? No one knew. But the moment Miles saw it, nothing could stop what followed. And Backstage became a battlefield. The moment everything broke, Shen Yue had been missing from set for exactly 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Enough time to alarm the crew, but not enough to provoke panic. That was until one of the makeup staff whispered, "I just saw Dylan pulling her. Something didn't look right." Miles moved before she finished the sentence. He didn't ask who. He didn't ask where. He didn't wait for permission, security, or logic. He ran. Actors don't usually sprint backstage. But Miles wasn't sprinting. He was hunting. And when he turned the corner, he found what everyone had been whispering about. Dylan's hand locked around Shen Yue's wrist. Her eyes wide, startled, conflicted. Her free hand pressed to her chest, as if trying to keep her heart inside. "Dylan, let go," she pleaded. But Dylan didn't turn around, didn't loosen his grip, didn't explain. He just kept walking. Fast. Focused. Almost shaking. That was when Miles snapped. Miles Wei's roar heard across the set. Miles lunged forward with so much force that a passing stagehand jumped out of the way. "Let her go," he shouted, grabbing Dylan's shoulder. The impact spun Dylan halfway around. And finally, Miles saw Dylan's face. It wasn't fury. It wasn't jealousy. It was something worse. Something dangerous. Something unhinged. Fear. Not ordinary fear, bone-deep fear, the kind that comes from knowing something no one else knows. "Move, Miles," Dylan hissed. "You don't understand." "What I understand," Miles growled, "is that she looks terrified." Shen Yue did look terrified, but not in the way Miles thought. Her eyes weren't locked on Dylan. They were locked on the far end of the hallway. At someone or something behind them. "Miles, please," she whispered shakily. "This isn't what you think." But Miles was far too deep into panic to hear any explanation. In one swift motion, he stepped between her and Dylan, shielding her completely. "Don't touch her again." Security rushed toward the scene, unsure whom to restrain. And that's when everything spiraled. The push that started a war. Dylan grabbed Miles by the arm. Miles grabbed him back. Shen Yue screamed. 2 security guards grabbed both men, but neither was letting go. "Let me take her," Dylan barked. "She's not safe here." "Safe with who?" "You," Miles shot back. "Yes." Dylan's voice cracked. "Because I know what's going on." Miles shoved him. Dylan shoved back. Shen Yue stepped forward, caught between them, tears streaming down her face. But neither man saw her anymore. They only saw each other. The raw rivalry. The boiling tension. The secrets. The past incidents involving Shen Yue's stalkers, break-ins, hidden cameras, and threats, all pointing towards something bigger. Miles saw Dylan as the threat. Dylan saw everyone else as the threat. And Shen Yue was stuck between fire and fury. The words that froze the entire hallway. Finally, breathless, shaking, desperate, Shen Yue cried out, "Stop. Both of you. Please." Her voice cracked through both men like lightning. Miles's fists lowered. Dylan's chest heaved. Security waited for anyone, to explain what on earth was happening. And then Shen Yue said something that silenced every single person in the hallway. I didn't want him to drag me, but I did need to leave. Miles froze. What? He whispered. Shen Yue turned toward him, eyes red, cheeks streaked with tears. There was someone backstage, she whispered. Watching me. Following me. I felt it. I saw it. Dylan saw it too. Miles's entire body went rigid. Dylan finally spoke, trembling. I told you. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I was trying to get her out before he got closer. Security exchanged terrified glances. Because that meant someone was still inside the building. The shadow in the corner before anyone could respond, a sound echoed from down the hallway. A footstep. Slow. Deliberate. Not belonging to security. Not belonging to staff. Not belonging to anyone on the production list. Dylan turned. Miles turned. Shen Yue grabbed onto Miles's arm. A tall figure in a dark hoodie stepped just far enough into the light for everyone to see the outline of his jaw, the shape of his shoulders, but not his face. Every security guard reached for their radios. But the figure simply tilted his head, looked directly at Shen Yue, and walked away. Silent. Unhurried. Unafraid. As if he had already accomplished what he came for. The hallway exploded with movement. Security officers sprinted after him. Crew members began shouting. The director demanded answers. But Dylan and Miles didn't chase the intruder. They stood frozen, realizing the truth no one wanted to face. This wasn't over. This was only the beginning. And Shen Yue, the girl both men were fighting for, was now at the center of a danger darker than any of them had imagined. The hallway still smelled like fresh paint and panic. Moments after the initial scream ripped through the backstage corridor, the world around them seemed to fold into a dangerous silence, one so sharp that even the buzzing fluorescent lights felt like they were holding their breath. Miles wasted frozen for half a second, staring at the empty space where Shen Yue had been just seconds before. The small cosmetic pouch she had dropped lay abandoned on the floor, its contents spilling like scattered evidence across the marble tiles. Then someone shouted, Dylan. Dylan was here. Miles spun so fast his shoulder crashed into the dressing room door. His vision blurred for a moment, but his heartbeat sharpened. Someone else yelled. He pulled her. He dragged her down the back corridor. Everything inside Miles snapped. His breath punched out of him as he took off running, not even waiting for security, not caring about the crew yelling behind him. Every step smashed into the floor like a warning. The corridor seemed to stretch longer with each stride, but he kept pushing, fueled by the single image of Shen Yue's terrified face when she vanished behind that corner. He reached the bend, skidding slightly, and then he saw them. Far down the hallway, under dim emergency bulbs, Dylan Wang's figure was unmistakable. Dark jacket, shoulders tense, grip firm on Shen Yue's wrist as he dragged her toward the emergency exit. Shen Yue stumbled, nearly falling, her hair messy, her breath shaking. The sound that tore out of Miles was not human. Dylan. Dylan jerked around. For 1 second, one long, violent second, their eyes locked across the corridor. And something ugly passed between them. Dylan's grip tightened on Shen Yue's wrist. His jaw clenched, his voice thrown back in a low, warning growl. Stay out of this, Miles. But Miles didn't even slow down. Let her go. His voice echoed, furious and trembling with something deeper than rage, fear. Shen Yue tried to pull away from Dylan, whispering something too soft to hear. Dylan snapped back at her in frustration. I'm trying to protect you. Don't make this harder. Protect her? From what? From who? Or from himself? Miles didn't care about explanations. Not now. He closed the distance like a storm. Crew members scattered out of his way, and even security hesitated, unsure whether to intervene or pull back. Dylan stepped further toward the exit door, dragging Shen Yue with him. But Shen Yue's legs gave out for a moment, her knee buckled, and she let out a weak cry. That was it. Miles reached them in a blur. He grabbed Dylan's forearm and yanked him back so forcefully that Dylan stumbled. The collision that followed was explosive, bodies slamming into the wall, a framed poster crashing to the ground, glass shattering across the floor. Shen Yue fell to her knees, breathing hard. Miles didn't look away from Dylan. "If you touch her again," Miles said, his voice shaking with fury, "you will regret it." Dylan shoved him back. Miles shoved harder. Security yelled for them to stop, but neither man heard anything except the pounding adrenaline in their own heads. Dylan's voice cracked with something like desperation. "You don't understand, Miles. Someone is after her. Someone dangerous." Miles lunged forward. "And you think dragging her through the back exit is protecting her?" Their voices overlapped, shouting, breathing, threats thrown like sparks. The argument spiraled faster than anyone could interrupt. Shen Yue finally forced herself to her feet, her voice raw. "Stop. Please, both of you, stop." But neither of them stopped. They were past reason. Dylan swung first. It wasn't clean, it wasn't elegant, it wasn't even fully intentional. It was fueled by panic and frustration. But it landed across Miles' jaw with a sharp crack that echoed down the hallway. Miles' head snapped to the side. He inhaled slowly. Then he retaliated. His fist slammed into Dylan's shoulder, and Dylan stumbled, crashing into a clothing rack. Costumes toppled onto him, fabric scattering like a wave of chaos. Security tried to step in, but both actors shoved them away with a power that shocked everyone. This wasn't a publicity stunt. This wasn't a staged fight. This was molten anger, fear, envy, confusion, all decades overdue. Shen Yue backed against the wall, tears gathering in her eyes as she whispered, "Please stop fighting over me." But the men didn't hear her. Dylan charged again. Miles blocked. Their bodies collided, elbows, shoulders, fists, a brutal, messy brawl that made crew members gasp and scatter. Finally, Shen Yue screamed, "Enough!" Her voice cracked so violently that both men froze mid-movement. Her eyes were brimming with tears. Not just fear, but a heartbreak neither man had seen on her face before. Miles wiped blood from the corner of his lip, chest heaving. Dylan pushed hair out of his face, jaw tight, fingers trembling. Shen Yue took a shaky step forward. "You're both hurting me more than you're protecting me." Miles' expression collapsed. Dylan's stare wavered. Their breathing slowed. For a moment, the world was painfully still. Then security finally broke through, separating them fully, guiding Dylan one way and Miles the other. But even separated, their eyes never left Shen Yue, not for a second.